selves because of whoever and whatever we think we're supposed to be. We crumble. My job is to make sure that you have a relationship. I don't care. Like, I'm using my gift so that you see him. Not I'm using my gift so that I get higher than where you are, because then that means I have to pull you or push you down to a particular level. That's not what salvation is. And when you step into what God said, it don't matter. Like, if he's for us, who can be against me? I don't care. Like, you can't tell me that I'm supposed to be doing this when God said be this and to do that. And you come in and tell me otherwise, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't care if you're Bishop so-and-so, so-and-so. I don't care if you're Apostle so-and-so, so-and-so. You're not God. You didn't craft that, you know what I'm saying? I think greater works. We ain't seen greater works because we stuck in just the works. Like, we stuck in just ourselves. We ain't seen greater because we stuck in mediocre. I don't want great, I want greater. I don't want good. I want, like, we can't settle. We can't settle anymore. Man, at this point, I don't care. I'm never gonna do anything like outlandish, but like, if you're opposed to what God is doing, then you got a question with your relationship with like God. Because like, we shouldn't be hearing different things if we're talking about the same God. Whatever you do, you just want to do it unto God and do it the best of your ability. Don't ever doubt that, man. Don't doubt your kids. Don't doubt the call that he has on you, because you're supposed to be there. Don't let nobody come in and tell you anything different. Don't let anybody, and most importantly, don't tell yourself that. Because you're going to be worse than the people that come in and try to tell you different. You're going to be the one to say, I don't trust me. God didn't say that. I want you to trust me, then you can trust you. You did that, but you're always going to say you ain't strong enough. You're always going to tell yourself you're weaker than what you really are. Trust God, and then he can inject his spirit and say, this is what I want you to do.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for checking out Cross Culture. Just here at the table, man. Some of y'all know who this is. If you don't know already, this is Jonathan Baker, Akeem Towns. Just having a conversation. It's going to be outside, but in Ohio it's kind of cold out there. So
it's going to be like below life outside.
Below negative 17. So we're just inside having a conversation. Jonathan Baker got Nothing's Wrong coming.
Yeah, man. February 28th, bro.
February 28th.
Yeah. So you can pre-order now.
You can pre-order now.
Stop. Look at me. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop. Go and then hit the pre-order button. Like, go to your phone, go to your laptop, whatever you got, Mac, PC, pre-order. You won't be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed. Well, it's definitely a blessing to have you here right now.
Man, pleasure's mine.
Man, just wanted to be able to get with you firsthand, leading up. You know, we see the social media campaigns, we see everything that's being put out there, but just wanted to catch you like kind of on the cusp on your way up. You know, just see where you were at with things, man. What's this, your fourth or fifth project right now?
Shoot, more than that. If we going way back, like 07, like, I don't even remember. It's probably like, honestly, like my 9th or 10th. Like including like mixtapes and stuff like that. But I think like the real transformation, like when I started kind of like walking into authentically who I was the start of the Off My Chest Volume 2 mixtape going into Live. That's when it kind of changed for me, and it was more so at that point. It was like, yo, I can't make music how I think music should be made, like, or kind of follow that trend. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of easy to do that.
So Off the Chest mixtape, was this your first mixtape that you put out?
Nah, the first mixtape I put out was in the Atmosphere.
Okay.
And then I think the second, that's when I started the other mixtape series. Off My Chest, thank you. Off My Chest Volume 1 and 2. And then so those were the 3 mixtapes I put out. And then all the rest were like full-fledged.
Okay. So how long have you been doing just music in general?
All right, so recording music, I started in 2003. So that's what 2000. Yeah. So now it's like going on 15 years. Yeah. So about 15 years.
Okay. So off my chest, Volume 1 is that if somebody hasn't ever heard that, is there somewhere right now they can go to just kind of check that out?
Yeah, I think that you can go to like I think like New H2O. They still got all my mixtapes. There's a couple other places. I think maybe North Strait might have it, but I know New H2O has.
Okay.
So
Now, for those who don't know, Jonathan Baker is one of those rare artists that can sing, that can rap, that plays instruments, that just kind of does it all. Can you talk a little bit about just like your music background and where the music came from in your life?
Sure, man. So like, I grew up in a Baptist church. I feel like that's typical. Like, I grew up in church. Nah, but like Baptist church where, they come from like the red hymnal days. And so, I kind of heard that. And my story was like jumping in the choir when I was 3. They had a kids choir. And then how it's levels to that. So you got the kids choir, you got the little junior choir, and the young adult choir, and the mass choir. So like I participated in all of that. They had like your other extracurricular activities like drill team and drama and all that stuff. So I'm the dude.
So were you an actor? Did you ever do acting a little bit? I
missed the ministry.
Got
I could have Will Smith it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if they was ready for all that, but yeah, like so I did that, and then I think drums came first, and how that happened, it was crazy. Like once again, it was like a big choir that was a part of the city. They called it like a revival choir. So like it didn't matter what church you was from, like you came and you were part of that choir. So different city musicians played for that. And then like one night I'm 10 years old, the drummer ain't show up, and the director was like, "Well, who gonna play drums?" Kind of like jokingly saying, and I was like, "Hey, I play." She was like, "All right, come on." My mom was like, "Yo, you don't even like you ain't touched a lick of drums."
No.
But they let me play that night, and that was the first time I ever played the drums.
Oh, how did that go? Was it kind of the nervous feet, like the kick was a little bit off, a little bit, the snare?
Yeah, I had a tempo issue, tempo. Nah, but like from there, like it was like I didn't feel like I couldn't do like I felt like I could do anything I wanted to at that time. Like that was kind of like an inspiration for me. Like if an opportunity opened itself up, like could nobody stop me but me. You know what I mean? So like. So started playing drums, and then me and my homies I grew up with, we all played drums, and then like after a few years of that, we kind of broke off and had different like instrumental tastes, if you will. Gotcha. So like I'm listening to records, I'm hearing chords and stuff. I'm like, yo, so that kind of helped out, with branching out, playing the piano or whatever. Okay. And then.
So were you, like, as far as like a music career, did you ever aspire to be in any particular genre? Like when you were just little, did you was like, man, I see myself doing an R&B career? Like what was your aspirations like just being young?
Honestly, I didn't, even with the rap thing, I didn't come up like, man, I'm about to be a gospel rapper.
Right, I don't think anybody did.
Yeah, like that wasn't a thing for me. I think initially, my heart was always in worship. So I see myself leading worship in any capacity.
Now, what age did that start for you?
Man, I think I had, at that point, I already graduated high school.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I kind of stepped into going to college.
Right.
And then I was kind of, I don't want to say forced, but like, it was situations that opened up once again to where I had to like kind of learn on the fly. So like being a music director over a band, and then I was a minister of music over like all.
Just kind of got pulled into.
Yeah, so I kind of got pulled into it, and then I had to learn all of that stuff on the fly. So it helped me kind of like cultivate those gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like as a musician, as somebody who had to lead people in praise and worship and song. So that kind of pushed the envelope a little bit. So that it was like, okay, I felt like God was like redirecting that moment. Okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to just, do that.
Okay. So you definitely have the gift of rapping. You definitely a wordsmith. You put words together. What were your early influences of kind of rapping? Like who were the people that you kind of looked to develop, your style?
the ones who were consistent, I definitely say Big and Jay.
Okay.
Yeah, like they were like, when I heard like Big, Jay, Nas, I'm like an East Coast head, like off the cuff. And so when I heard those type of rappers, it was like, okay, dope. But going back, like I always loved the culture. So you go back to like Rob Bass. I was a little kid, like, I don't want to write right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was that kid. But then when it like started to stick, you know, it was around that time, that kind of helped cultivate, like, because that's when it was like, okay, like, I want to go hear about the Eric B's and the Rock Cams and like the cats who kind of paved the way, and you know, Curtis Blow and all of them, you know, them type of cats. And go back to that, like, to kind of see where it came from. Because at that point in time, I didn't even know Christian hip hop existed until like my first year of college. And then, you know, I'm seeing homies out there. I'm like, this was like 2003, and we just out there, and like these cats was like, you know, rapping about God, and I was like, yo, like I had never heard anybody do that. Not saying that they couldn't do it.
Right. So who was the first artist that you heard like kind of doing that style?
Truth. Moment of Truth.
Okay.
Yep. That was the first album I heard.
Classic album.
Yep. And since then it was like, okay. Because at first I was like, I ain't gonna front Manny if you see this one trip. At first I was like, yo, man, this dude kind of sound like Jay, man. Mind you, because I'm a hip hop head.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Right.
At that point, but then it's like you kind of know people's influences. You know what I'm saying? But then like Manny, you know, of course, Manny has his own sound.
Yeah.
But you could definitely hear that influence. You know what I'm saying? So me knowing that, I was like, yeah, this cat. But then like as he went on, like kind of peering in, I'm like, okay. Then I seen like other styles. I'm like, okay, like this is a thing. You know, you hear like a Thizzle, you know, coming from the Lou, and it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, but that was the first project, man.
Okay. So I know that I don't want to say, well, your first album was it Live to Love?
That was, so like that whole thing was like EP series. Like it was just a series of EPs.
Okay.
So Live Again, and then Live On were under the tag Live to Love, basically.
Got you.
So
where did that come from?
So I think I might have been in the service one time, and Live is like, I got the acronym Live in the service, and it was like really dealing with me. And the Lord was like, I want you to love intentional versus emotional. And I was like, but bruh, like, I was, you know, it was a little touchy at that point, you know, because nobody really wants to like consistently deal with themselves, if we be honest, like, especially like the ugly stuff. And that's when he was like, yo, I want to deal with you first, you know, like stop being in your emotions as it pertains to certain things. I want you to be intentional, just as I was intentional with you, and kind of coming to clean you up and learning how to deal with people relationally, and how to, you know. So that was hard, but and challenging, even if you will. But he was like, I want your music to kind of portray that. Like, so as you're learning about this, I want you to kind of showcase that in music, because there's a lot of people out there who kind of in the same situation that you are, and this could help them. You know,
I like that. Like when you listen to your music, it's like a personal. You hear yourself. It's like you're talking back and forth with God. It's like you're having a conversation with God. Where you're like, "But God, what about this?" But then at the same time, it turns around and you hear God talking back to you. Why is that such an important thing that goes throughout your music?
Because I don't think we stress the importance of like how like we can actually converse with God and He respond. You know, like I think sometimes we feel like it's this big spooky thing. Like it has to be a certain type of way. Jesus, bless this. Da 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 da. Amen. And it's like, nah, I talk to God just like I'm talking to you. It's like, all right, G, like this is crazy right now. You have to walk me through this, and like seeing that, like I think people have to be. I feel like your music should be tangible enough to where, like, if I can relate to it because of an example, like you're talking, and I can deal with that, like I should be able to like have that as an outlet, or it should be like a driving force to say, okay, like this does exist. You know what I'm saying? This is something that can like help better all of us holistically. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, there's music out there that is just relative, and you know, you use it. I feel like you use music in moments.
Right.
So like, if you feel like you want to turn up, you know, that's music for that. Like, you just don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And then there's, you know, theological music where you need to get deep.
Yeah.
So I feel like that it's that, but then at the same time, like, music should always be tangible. Like, because I feel like we need more tangible moments as people. Like, how do I deal with these things? You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely, I love that. And Jonathan Becker, one of those rare artists that you can go back and it's like their art is building up to something. Like from your EP series, it was like all kind of building up.
Sure.
You would say nothing's wrong in your music,
Right.
but now it's like you're actually releasing a project that's called Nothing's Wrong.
Right.
How does your previous projects build up to what you're about to release now?
got you. So like, Nothing's Wrong was like, that's like, people be laughing too. I'd be like, yo, that's my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I actually have to like look at life. And I had a conversation with somebody that came up to me and asked me, they were like, yo, like, so when you say nothing's wrong, like, like, are you just being passive, acting like the hurt isn't there, or acting like this isn't there? Like, because if so, then I don't think that's a good thing. And most people be like, no, see, you need to la da da da. It's like, no, like, that was a good moment for us to converse about that. And, you know, I really feel like how the Bible gives like all of these different examples, like, you know, it says what can separate you from the love of God, and then it says, you know, like tribulation, distress, persecution, like nakedness, and it's just all of these things, right, that we deal with, and then at the end, it's the stamp of approval that says nothing separates us, right? So it's God saying it's not like it's not there. I'm just saying when I'm there, nothing's wrong, right? So it becomes the moment where you apply God to your life in the midst of the stuff, right? And then that's when we begin to see, like, oh, you know what? Like, at that point, like, nothing's wrong. I'm making it as bad as I want to make it, right? Like, and sometimes, you know, like, we do it all the time. Like, we go back in retrospect, you know, I'm like, that wasn't as bad as I made it. But when God is in it, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when it becomes, so like, that whole live thing, learning about myself and learning about relationships and learning about like true relationship with God, and how, you know, I had my rough moments with God. Like, I'm talking about like rough moments. Like, I'm cussing God out. Like, you wasn't there when blah, 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 blah happened. And you didn't. Yeah, he was big enough to take that. You know what I'm saying? Even in that, it was like, once again, not saying this stuff ain't there. It's just when I'm there, it becomes better. Like, because I'm the only guy that can deal with this stuff for real. That's good. So that, you know, it's like nothing's wrong. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Because I know that he can deal with it.
That's right.
So,
that's good.
Yeah.
So the way I love the way even in the interview that you're breaking down your music, you're breaking it down and you're making it into a ministry.
Sure.
But you do music, but then you're also ministry as well. Can you talk about some of the things that you have going on, like ministry wise, aside from the music?
Absolutely, man. So like, the wonderful thing I love about how this stuff is happening for me is like the Lord is letting me know like this stuff isn't separate. Like, all of these things, like, all things can work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I do rap, I don't have to be like, oh man, I'm a rapper on Tuesday through Friday,
right?
And then I'm this preacher, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of these things work together. You know what I'm saying? So like, I can showcase it in different spaces, and it still be a part of the ministry as a whole. So he's giving me things like different, I guess, dreams and visions, if you will, about how we present church, I guess, or it's totally different than like the American church. How, you know, like, you come in, it's supposed to be a call to worship, it's supposed to be 2 songs, it's supposed to be offering, it's supposed to be this.
You got praise and worship, you know, you got your offering time, you're giving, and then you got the word. Right. Benediction.
Exactly.
You might have a few more songs you're out.
Right. And I'm not saying like that, like, that's a wrong thing per se, but like, it was like the Lord wants to show us like it's bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool to have an order, but I don't want you to be so systematic that you're no earthly good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I want you to see praise and worship, you know, prayer and prophecy, like, all of these things working together in such a different way so that we don't box God in. Like, sometimes we can do that, like, systematically we do this. So God must only be doing this and this, right?
Yeah,
as opposed to, like, he did all of this and we're just invited in this moment. So, you know, so yeah, man, that's about it.
I mean, I think that's it. Without drawing people in, I don't want want you to be able to give too much. I don't want people to be able to go and check out the albums and check out the projects, because you say a lot in your music.
Sure.
You give a lot in your music. You give a lot of insight. Is there anything else that you kind of want people to be able to take? Like when somebody picks up your music and they look at it as a body of work, is there something that you feel that they might potentially miss that you just kind of want them to be able to say, hey, kind of look out for this when you're listening to my music?
Got you. I don't want to miss that. I don't want them to kind of disconnect and say, oh, that's just him making music. Like, I want you to be in it. Like I make music so that you can like take me out, put yourself in that, and then you gather the stuff that comes behind that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know, with God, like I'm the type, what God gives me, it's like, okay, boom, I'm gonna give it back out. Whether it's in a music form or whether it's in a preaching form or a revelatory moment, like I'm gonna give it in that space. I do that musically too, and I have people come back and say, you know what, like that resonated with me, like so heavy, like I didn't expect that. Whether it's like right after the listen, whether it's 2 years after the listen, they come back and they're like, that really hit home for me. Like I want that feeling consistently, because I want my music to touch you like so close to home to where it challenges you to say, like it challenges you to make a decision. Like, am I going to rest here and continue to let these things happen? Or am I going to make a different decision so that I can, grow in this arena and do something different, and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want them to miss the fact that this is you as well. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Take you out of the equation. Put yourself in these shoes. Chances are you've been through a similar situation.
Absolutely.
Where you ask God some of these questions.
Absolutely. And I think that's a common thing. We disconnect because we feel like these artists have everything together, and these artists or musicians disconnect themselves because they only deal with this and we don't deal with that. It's just on a different level. You know what I'm saying? Artists and musicians, they deal with temptation just like the next man. Or we deal with like loneliness and depression just like the next man. It may just be in a different capacity, but we need to understand that we all deal with these things. And I feel like we create these pedestals that shouldn't even be there. And I'm the dude to wipe all of that stuff out. Like, yo, like we at the table right now, I can talk to you and be just as tangible with you as opposed to like you seeing me, oh, that's Jonathan Baker, I can't. That's not the case. Like, I'm just at that point, I'm just a vessel, and we're in the same space, and we can talk and we can really get to the nitty gritty of it. You know what I'm saying? So and I guess I would say that's another point that I don't want people to miss is like I'm not that far off. You know what I'm saying? Because we can do that sometimes. Like, yo, like I just make music and and I just leave, and then they're like, bruh. It's not that at all, man. I put my pants on just like the next man. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. So what do you feel about like the space? And this is the last question I'm gonna ask, and we're gonna move on. But like, what do you feel like about the space that just music is in general, where you might see an artist posting pictures on Instagram, you might get a picture into their life, and then they're making it so transparent to where the next song that you hear, you feel like music is at like the most transparent level that it's ever been, and if so, how do you feel about where you say? Do I feel like it's at the most?
Just kind of like I don't want to say the industry, because I feel like art as a whole is just a lot more transparent because internet kind of levels things out, at least at this point. You know, there's things going on. There's laws we might have to buy. No, seriously. So I feel like this, and I'll say this to anybody who aspires to be something, like whether we like it or believe it or not. Like say if I was to do something right now and post a picture and we go on the World Wide Web, anybody's gonna go on there and they make their own assumption about what that means. Whether I define it or not, there's millions of people who are gonna look at that and make their own decision. Right? It's your job to make sure you're consistent in your own authenticity, because after a while, people paying attention enough to see, is this dude going to change up, or is this woman going to change up and do this and this and that? So I really feel like what's going on now is, yes, there's a lot of transparency, yes, there's a lot of different things, but we're everywhere. Like,
people can't pay attention anymore.
Yeah.
One, and then two, it's so much. Everybody wants to tell their story, and everybody wants to flood, and everybody's fighting for attention, but after a while, what are you fighting for attention for? Like, when we get to that point and we pay attention to you, are you going to give something authentic or something that you just seen and try to make it your own? Right? Like, you have to understand, like, when it's your time and God takes you and moves you from here to here and say, do what you're supposed to do. Am I doing what I'm called to do? And that's the thing. Like, you got to find out what it is that you have to, like, why am I doing this, and what's my purpose for doing this? Like, I can fall back and say, hey, like, you know, I can say that music for me is just the tool to get to ministry. Like, because when I deal with people on a ministry level, that's the thing that they take home, as opposed to, like, man, I just love all the music, and like I said, you're this distant artist. It's not that anymore. We have the moments when we get to the heart of the issue. And I know that that's my gift, and that's where God wants me to be, like, dealing with people. And that's what I feel like we should do. When he said go out and make disciples, it wasn't to showcase your gift. It was to go out and deal with these people tangibly. Absolutely. So that you can direct them to God. So, to answer your question, I feel like it's a whole lot, right? Absolutely. We just got to navigate through it and see what the real is. And I would tell people, just make sure you're being your authentic self. Like, don't just take whatever and try to force feed and think that because you feel like that's the best at this time. That's good. You know what I'm saying?
That's good, man. Well, there you have it. If you didn't get anything out of this interview, hit rewind and play it again. I'm sure you can get something out of it. Let people know where they can reach you on social media.
Anywhere, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Jonathan W.P. Baker. And then the music is pretty much everywhere you can consume it. That's iTunes, Amazon, Tidal, Spotify. Just type in Jonathan Baker, you'll find everything.
There it is, bro. Thank you for taking this time, man.
Listen, like I said, the pleasure was mine, man. Cross culture about to be dope. So, yeah, man.